Maggie Mae. Join us as we follow the moon. Today, we're in historic Fredericksburg, Virginia, and we want to show you around at some of the Civil War history that we found here in this city. We're actually standing in front of the sunken road and the stone wall that lines the length of it. And we'll show you more of this and more of the battle that took place at Fredericksburg as we go along.
Thanks.
So we start off at the Fredericksburg Battlefield Visitor Center, and at the Visitor Center is where the sunken road and the battlefield and a lot of the relics from that are. So from the parking lot, you'll see signs for the Sunken Road Tour. It's a very short walk. It's all paved. And they show you the battlefield overview. And this is where the Union started their fierce attack on the Confederacy. The Confederate line had built trenches along those walls. Now the Stevens house is no longer there, but that lady basically died helping the soldiers in defending her home, and that's where the home stood. The Innis house is riddled with bullet holes. You can still see some on the outside. And one of those shots is said to have went through the Innis home and struck Thomas Cobb, fatally wounding him. There's a marker there across from the home where he lost his life. Now this kind of gives you an aerial view of markers in the area, the different things that we saw and we were talking about. The Angel of Mary's Heights, this is to pay tribute to, this person wasn't in the military, but Richard Kirkland went through and was helping the troops, and did so until he lost his life in another battle. Now the Ebert house and store, if you notice the stonework on the right, that stonework is still there. That's a continuation of the wall and the foundation of where the house originally was. Part of the wall has been reconstructed, but part of the wall there today is still original. You'll see that there on the right-hand side. Brompton, a very famous estate setting up high on the hill, actually right above that original stretch of wall. As you go to leave, the National Cemetery for Fredericksburg is right there. And at the end of the parking lot, it shows you the arrow to turn left to go to Chatham Manor. Now Chatham Manor is a large estate with a lot of history behind it. I'll show you the corn crib there. What is now their garage was their carriage house. And through that carriage house, you'll go into their gardens.
And they're beautiful.
Yeah, those gardens. Again, keep in mind this was taken mid-September, and the gardens were beautiful.
Now this is considered the front at this point of the front of the house. And so when you park, you come into this.
This originally was the rear of the home and has been, as the gardens were put in, the home has changed sides, so to speak.
Yes.
And what was the back is now the front. It looks like a very large, grand home. The upstairs only has 3 rooms in it, and the home is extremely narrow. That's the total width of the house, front to back.
It did surprise me.
This was the butler's pantry, even with a dumbwaiter to get to those 3 rooms upstairs. It looks very large and grand from outside, but it's fairly modest inside.
It's very deceptive, but they wanted it to look good as it was approached.
And it does.
And they wanted it to look stately, which it did.
Now, this is one of the tombstones. When the battle was fought, there were bodies left around the lawn, and that's one of the tombstones that was used there. Now, this was originally the front of the house. It's now the back of the house. It was lined with catalpa trees.
They were interesting.
Yes, very.
And that would have been the front back in the day.
And that would have been their view.
And it overlooked the river.
Yeah, overlooks the river and Fredericksburg. Now, next up is Kenmore. And Kenmore is an estate that was actually Betsy Washington and her husband. Betsy was the younger sister of George Washington. Just down the street is a statue to General Hugh Mercer. He was a local who lost his life in a battle in New Jersey, defending the freedom of America. This is the Virginia statue for religious freedom, which harkens to the Virginia Statute of Religious Freedom that was penned by Thomas Jefferson. Now, the Marye Washington Monument is actually where Marye Washington, George Washington's mother, is buried. At the same site, just beside it, is a small cemetery for the Gordons of Kenmore. This was George's sister Betsy's family. Now, in town is something that we haven't seen in many of these towns, is a Confederate cemetery. And inside those brick walls, and those brick walls were all made with bricks from homes that were destroyed during the war. But this is the community cemetery as you first go in. In the back right-hand corner of the cemetery is the actual Confederate soldiers' cemetery. There is a marker for some who were not able to be accounted for. And this monument for other soldiers that again were not able to be accounted for. Now, next up, this is the Stonewall Jackson Shrine. And although he is buried in Lexington, Virginia, this is where he actually died. He had suffered mortal wounds, lost an arm, and lasted for 10 days, and he wanted to come back here to pass. He actually passed in that little white house. There are markers out here where some of the other outbuildings were. But that is where Stonewall Jackson passed. Well, we are seated on the steps of the Marye Washington house, and this was a home that George Washington bought for his mother, Marye Washington, in 1772, and she lived here up until her death in 1789. This town has just been full of all kinds of little hidden gems like this that we've stumbled onto by accident in a day of exploring. What did you think of Fredericksburg?
I was really impressed. I think that the historical value here is equal, if not more so, than Gettysburg. There's so much here, you cannot possibly see it all in one day.
There's the history of the Civil War battles, of the people that were involved in them, but there's also all history of the age of the town, not even centered around the Civil War battles. So there's something for everybody here, no doubt about it. And there's a very historic little downtown. We didn't get to spend a lot of time in it. We actually just ended up here for about a half a day. And we're going to share a video here with you very soon on why we ended up in Fredericksburg this afternoon.
Right.
But with that, we want to thank you all for joining us today. If you enjoyed the video, leave us a thumbs up. We sure appreciate it. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do so and ring that notification bell. We do appreciate that.
And thank you for following us as we follow the moon.
Thanks for watching today.
If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel.
And be sure to ring the notification bell so you'll know when new videos come out.
Don't forget to follow us on social media too.